Merry Christmas from New York. Today, do the thanks. Thank you to Big Linux, great Linux creators on YouTube and the educational presentations on YouTube. And all of the wonderful people in the world who make our lives possible. And the title today, Mystic Origin of IMC, Rationality, Love, Consciousness, and Love as an Entanglement. Well, the origins of IMC were from many faiths, but largely influenced by Christian perspectives. And just as at the core of every religion, you find a mystic. And the mystic has a vision. And perfectly or imperfectly, it expresses love and some degree the philosophy of IMC. Of course. Things that are ego transcendent, that put us in touch with the entirety of our sense of self and transcends it as well. That origin came through the inspiration, this particular distro form of inner mind communication had bits from many religions, a lot of that responsibility for this, or even so for myself and a host of others. Everybody I learned anything from. Tried to feel what the religions were about and get the experience. So I guess I was a mystic from the beginning, searching. And well, I found the Buddhist ego transcendence and the sense of a service transcendence in Vaishnava Hinduism. Those were important factors. The attachment to God is a God that is supreme and loving and so on. From Sufism, Meta-Taoist, who worship nothing. Now, that story was I was hitchhiking and the the guy who played the evil Chinese spy, say, in Hawaii Five-0. I think his name was something Smith, his Anglo name, but they called him Kai D at the Buddhist monastery where I stayed. He was best friends with the Honorable Venerable Dr. Thich Nhat Hanh, and met him, he picked me up hitchhiking, and that's where he took me to his friend. In the course of that, he had to stop at his office, and I was a very skinny 20-year-old kid, probably 20, 19. Anyway, very skinny, very young. And not that, 19 or 20. I sat across the desk from him, and he had all this paraphernalia. Looked very religious, and I asked him about it. Actually, I didn't. He looked at me looking around, and he said, "You have questions?" I said, "Yeah. Um, what is it that a Taoist, what is it that, what is your religion? What is your religion?" And he said, "I'm a Taoist." It's okay. Do you have more questions? You have more questions? And I said, "Yeah. What does a Taoist worship?" And he said, leans over toward me, and a huge guy, and he bellows out, "The Taoist worships nothing." And I'm going, okay, I've got a ride with a crazy person, you know, I'm a crazy magnet. So anyway, I'm like, oh God, this is where are you headed? And I had to exit court early, and I told him I wanted to study Buddhism, and he took me to his friend, the abbot of the monastery. And then right away, the abbot asked me, the leader asked me, what did he say to you? And I said, and I don't know what happened there. He just kind of bounced out of me. It's like, the Taoist worships nothing. And he starts laughing, and he says, tell my friends, tell my friends. He was very fond of me while I stayed there for part, and it was an experience. And he asked me when I left, you take the Buddha with you? I says, well, I was raised Christian, but I'll take the Dharma with me. He said, you take the Dharma. Yeah. Anyway, and before that, traveling through Oklahoma before I met this guy. Traveling through Oklahoma, and this trucker had picked me up and given me a ride, and it was pouring down rain, and he said he needed to let me out, and I said, well, okay. And then he asked me to do something for money that there's no, which I said no, and as far as I'll go with that, and he put me out in the rain, and a little down about my future there. I was just like, oh gosh, everything bad happens to me, and I'm just walking along in the pouring rain. And I says, well, before I go, then maybe I should just thank, big believer in God, then mostly. And I said, well, I'll just give thanks, you know, for the life that I've had so far. I started singing every religious song I could think of. And in the pouring rain, a car stopped by, and they invited me to give me a ride, and I got in the back seat, and I was a little puzzled because it was a couple, and the guy with his wife, and you know, would you risk picking somebody up, especially with your wife with you? So I asked them. I said, usually, this is kind of unusual, and why, um, why would you pick me up? And they said, well, we usually don't, but we felt we were supposed to pick you up. They got to their house, and there was a big plaque that said, maybe your God is dead during this time, but ours isn't. I said, I might have guessed that must be a sign. And the next day, they gave me a backpack and filled it full of things that I might need. Where are you? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? This is, well, I want to check out Buddhism, and so I'm going west, California. And they were very kind to let me off by the side of the road, continuing my journey. But ID. Anyway, had a lot of experiences. Experienced one of my trips. I experienced Sufism. That was a pretty funny experience. They had a practice of silence and a talker, and I got there. And they asked me, can you do this practice? I said, all right. Really funny experience there. Yeah, there was a lot of things that happened. But yeah, I did it for like, 4 weeks. And they were moving things, and I was helping with that move. And I'd been traveling with this one fellow who was a bizarre into Tai Chi, and he would move like this, all these, real slow and everything. I'm like, ooh, what is guy doing? But anyway, we were traveling together. Better than being alone. So we were moving things together. He was very clumsy. He would like drop, heavy things on my feet. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, wanting to let go of a lot of expletives. And I got done with those 2 weeks. And they said, oh, you done so well. It's just, maybe you should keep this practice, and and stay with us, and I just said, no, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah. And again, I was seeking to be a better person, and none of these things made me a better person. Anyway, and then I was in Hare Krishna. Yeah, back in those days, had to check them out, and that was kind of fun. A bunch of dumb kids chanting. we had a good time, really. It was, met Prabhupada, the leader of that group, just not really met him. Said hello to him as I walked by him after he gave the sermon. Very touching sermon. Made me feel very humble and appreciative. That was a powerful, moving experience. Anyway, so I learned from that, and yeah, I think yeah, I was in a commune for a while too. But okay, not making any money. Selling incense in San Francisco for the Hare Krishnas, making an escape from Synanon. I won't go into all that. My life was full of crazy stuff. But anyway, so left from there, and ended up in in the home state where I was raised, and cold place. But I ended up there. Forget how that happened. Anyway, there it was, and it was a spirit-filled Catholic group, and they told us, we were kids, and they said, well, if you make up sounds, and if you have faith, then maybe it'll be a tongue, not the kind of, Jesus, 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 and fall on the floor. So we said, well, we can do that. And then they came out and said, you're so flexible when you're young, so flexible. Physically and mentally, it's like, you just, all right, okay. Then it was, if you speak with love and have faith, and sometimes, and we go, oh, well, that's cool. We'll give that a try. And so we did. And that's how it was explained to us. I don't know if their main line was that teaching, but well, explained to me and others. Anyway, so it came to pass, and it came to pass. Yeah, Book of Mormon, remember that? I couldn't get enough of it. Came to pass. Anyway, so sat there. We had trying this out, and a lot of us were interested in the inner healing thing. Healing of the memories, whatever, that kind of movement, and that was interesting. So we broke off, and we had a whole small group, a lot of comedy along with that. When I would try to do that, I would have this feeling of great empathy come over me. When someone would ask, some request to try and hear Jesus or whatever, which, we were commonly trying to do that with each other. So when it happened to me, when I experienced it, it was this overwhelming sense of love and empathy. And from my lips would come, I'm the Lord. I've always been with you. And it was something, the general pattern was that something precise that happened to the individual in detail, some degree of detail. And I could never figure out how I could have known that or how that was coming out of me, but I'm like, what is that? And then it would, then the words would come, I want you to know I was with you then. And because of this, you have this blessing today. And everybody's saying, oh, yes, yes, yes. And of course, a lot of this stuff I could explain away at some point. Some of it I just couldn't. It was so mind-blowing that it was like, it's that. And I got really tired of it. And I said, oh, I don't like this group's way to approach here. It seemed like in the early prophecies that were so-called that we were hearing, it was all about going directly. So I went into prayer. I said, this is not working out. This is not working out. And you can't put, I for one, don't want to be in that position. They were trying to call people like me a prophet. And this, in the Old Testament, they were wrong one time and they killed them. Don't call me that. So, I had a little complaint there, bone to pick with the big guy. And so then it came through that there were 3 dialogues. Okay, tell them this. It was 3 dialogues. And I was told to study them and work on it. And isn't this leaving you out? And the softest tone, you don't hear sounds, but you're being talked to. Like, they hijacked your brain and thought in there. Some other part of your brain does this. I don't know. I just call it my muse. No, just, I don't know what that is. Probably part of the brain doing something amazing that I don't understand. But came through, said, very compassionate, sense of great love, just like in the prophecies. And it said, no, you're just asking people to go around the corner where you know I am. So, quite frankly, that was still, as I out of that, it was still too religious for me. It's just like practice was working. So, why do we need belief? Eureka. Why do we need beliefs? So, we were advancing a new religion that, so you want to meet Jesus, and we're so flavored with the Christian thing. Then just do this. And as I came to experience, it was a connection to love. The only thing you had to believe in was love. And understand that. You don't need a religion. You need a book. Why this old and never led you astray before. This whole channel is about being spiritual, but not religious. Remember that. So, and things that I couldn't explain, there was a beautiful scientific response. I don't know what happened. Just let it go. Unless, you can figure it out, smarter than me. So I just let it go. It would come back to me a few times more. And it was hard to explain. But I'm not the only one that's had experiences like this either. But at the core of these religions, there's always some mystic thing. So I guess in a way, I created a new religion. But the thing is, It didn't just create a new religion, it's created a non-belief religion. Practice based on practices of love and awareness. You got to be aware of where you're at, what you need, and so on. Love is meaningless. So, empathetic awareness, and this is from compassionate empathy, goodness, from objective empathy, truth, from creative empathy, art, the way to see the beauty in things. The beautiful mythology that can evolve from that, or did evolve from that, where, this part of you that is the ruler of your imagination, which is what's going on in your eye. You can't see anything. Yeah, you're creating memories and whatever for yourself, which was something that Ruth Carter Stapleton, who we visited, did for inner healing. She called it inner healing. That was her approach. She'd take a memory and put Jesus in it, something comforting to help them. I thought that was kind of brilliant, and it's the role of the artist in you. And what is true if this is in this uh, vision? Well, that part of you that's creating memory experiences and memories can also imagine itself outside of your timeline, outside of all of the drama in your life, and appreciate it like anybody would a movie or a story. It's always in bliss, always in heaven. And it's looking, the picture is looking down on the valleys and looking down on your timeline. So it's up there from the mountain. And it's visionary. And so, and yeah, and that's one of the practices, one of the dialogues. Other dialogue with yourself and other people and big significant others, so that you're talking to those who you love and those who love you, back and forth. You're kind of interchanging the roles. So you're the caregiver, you're the kid, and so back and forth. And with the inner counselor, that's your objective empathy, you're talking to your more objective self. And that's like helping you, it's talk therapy. That's like helping you in the present, where anything in the past is just referred to as in the past, and you're not reliving it. So you're talking back and forth. And so that's the present, looking into the future and dealing with anxieties there. And the other, yourself and significant others, that's compassionate empathy. And that's a communication in which you're very close to your feelings. So, bringing out a memory or whatever is you're feeling it. This compassion draws out your capacity to feel. So it's more about reliving things, and therefore it's more about the present, looking into the past to get the riches from there and to deal with any problems. And so the mythology I mentioned is that creative artist in yourself, the ruler of your universe, and yourself, the supreme controller, which is where I talk about it as being your brain. Your brain, really, your brain. Because Buddha does studies and your brain knows what your intentions are before you're aware of having them. Anyways, supreme control of the creator of your imaginary world, your universe. That's where we get this whole idea of God, I think. And, yeah, so it reaches into your past and into your future as your inner counselor, your inner caregiver. And as you resolve some of these anxieties for any moment, it's as if you've gotten a hug from your very best friend, the one who appreciates you as the main player in this movie or story. The part of you that encourages you with all of these virtues, rise up and be the hero of love in that story, that movie. So I'm now taking you there now. And then there are other practices, of course, which I talk about now and then, which come from focus. That's everything's really, love is related to need. Okay? There'd be no need for love if there was no need. There'd be no appreciation of drama. It's some way of envisioning it. And so there's the focus, or the infant mind, before you had an imagination of who you are, before you had a self-concept. In that you had this ability to focus in regard to your needs, to be playful with your needs in their expression, and also to feel and express the sensations and emotions and whatever that are connected to need. And these evolved into the empathies. Objectivity, depending on your ability to focus. Pay attention, children. Are you paying attention? Look up at the board. Yeah. You need focus in a social situation and context, and that kind of evolution became objectivity. To focus and learn. And so the ability to be at play or to be playful evolved into your ability to create play, to be creative, to see things from a lot of different points of view and so on. So that evolved in the social because of social context. And the other thing that evolved, ability to express, that became, in social context, compassion. Passion helps you to feel safe, express your needs. You used to tell those made-up story where little Susie skins her knee out playing, and she doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to it right away. She just goes on playing. And then her mother shows up, and then she starts to cry a little bit, and she says, holding her knee and telling her mother about it, the compassion about the feeling. And then mother sympathizes. She becomes that compassionate empathy. Just, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, it's that must hurt. Yeah. Mm. Then she says to Susie, she says, well, did you fall like this? Well, or maybe she does the other approach. She says, um, objectively, well, that other knee, you skinned it. It's okay now, isn't it? Don't you think this will happen with this knee? Mm-hmm. And she says, well, did you fall like this? And she does all kinds of pratfalls. She falls in a comical kinds of ways. And till the little girl starts to giggle. And then she changes the whole scene, creates a new experience. Let's go get some ice cream. Hopefully it doesn't become an addiction. But anyway, so there is an example of a mother using compassionate empathy, objective empathy, and then creative empathy. And with humor, viewing the thing, what happened in a funny way, in different ways. And so she was on the verbal end of it. She was using IMC. So, natural thing, actually. And the ability to focus and play and express feeling. Well, there's techniques in intermind communication that in this distribution, we say, are used to get to the infant mind and allow you to contact sensations and feelings and emotions without words, and help you. The whole thing is about helping you heal from damaged faith and love, from times in which you felt helpless and there was not a quick enough response in that helpless feeling. And that forms a kind of imprint, almost, in the brain. It's a generalization and a symbolization of the impact of the helplessness, which is like a force. And it's a picture of force hitting a round ball. And then that force gets spread out and from its original impact point, spreads, expands. So that's the generalization and the symbolization. That's a generalization of the trauma, the need that was became too attached to helplessness, so that the need itself was painful. And so that need itself was spread out, and so it was also generalized. So you were terrified by a cat, then later on, the generalization and symbolization, you would be afraid of all cats. You know, it kind of depends how big a hit that you took. That's a generalization, symbolization. Symbolization is your brain's way of lowering that harmful anxiety from the impact. so that you can go on functioning. And it replaces a symbolic that painful need with a symbolic one that seems or a different situation or the same situation in which you feel you can change it. And that's where you see people gravitating back to similar situations to their trauma so that they can play out the scene with a hope of a better outcome. However, that doesn't really work because it's all based on things that are in the past. You haven't resolved it. You can't resolve it that way. That symbolization and generalization needs to collapse in order for you to feel what really happened to you and to process it properly. So that's the theory with IMC. And that's a generalization and symbolization I call hope dope. And you can be addicted to it. And you look at Trump. He's not a very good parental leader. Not a very good leader. But he's offering symbolic fixes for hurt that these people have. That can be very inspiring. He is the flawed love that permits them to struggle. Yeah. So even Christians trying to, yeah, he's a bad guy. Guess what? Sometimes God works through bad people. Yeah. Whatever. So there's your hope dope. Yeah, somehow giving this guy power is going to get them free. They don't even know what they're running from. So that's supplied by hate and fear about people that these folks might feel uncomfortable because of a lack of those sympathies. Yeah. Which should have evolved in a healthy society. It does. But human beings also have a lot of other flaws and things that nothing is in it. Sapolsky, look him up for that information. Anyway, so are we entangled? Well, love is entanglement, and a good thing. In other words, those who are helping and those who are being helped, they're necessary to each other, and it's a system. It's an entanglement that can be very creative. And it's been said that the black holes, that the meaning isn't lost, that Hawking's radiation could be deciphered and you could discover the meaning of that. So what we're talking about in this particular dramatic journey through life is there's a lot of entanglement. Entanglement also and love that's the basis of consciousness, because we're kind of like a feedback loop. Entanglement. Ichikaku says, as I'd thought before, that consciousness is a feedback loop. Well, that's a kind of entanglement, isn't it? You know, these things are, you're connected to those you love, and distance doesn't really matter in a way. You're already connected. And so let's not get over my head and have me babbling like an idiot. But yeah, I believe we're entangled. There's psychic experiments where it seemed paranormal, that we try to study paranormal things, that the attachment of a mother cat or some animal to its young, that there seemed to be, despite any distances, there seemed to be some kind of reaction, that showed their entanglement. And I don't know about the validity of those experiments. Neil deGrasse Tyson might come along, just not that on. Heck, I don't know. But it seems possible to me. And I think the consciousness itself is entanglement. And there are some who think that consciousness may be at the core of reality. That's something to think about. So it's all about love. It really is. And then drama, because love needs, which is the need to understand, the need to find a way to love it, the willingness to help, and the ability to be artful, in your response. The Vaishnava dualists see the absolute truth. That's a rational thing. They personify. That can still be rational. So you have a personification in your head, as virtues, of course, and it's that personification you have a relationship with, and yeah, and so that's at the core of your experiences, I believe. Because how are you aware, conscious about something happening, something going on, and so we are entangled with each other and with the universe, with absolute truth, absolute reality. It's all entangled. And how to use this in any practical way. These techniques in IMC, in this particular distribution, are all about things that help you with the love flow. And that forms the basis of a philosophy, which is quite rational, and forms a basis for a new movement, religion totally of love, and entanglement. And So drama being necessary, not surprising that all manner and randomness being necessary. It's no big puzzle why, if love rules, it needs drama. And that drama can be of all kinds. And opportunities to grow from and to perceive and understand, just as we do with a movie. It could be a horror show. But there's part of us, that can enjoy it vicariously. That's why I talk about a positive kind of sociopathy. If you're outside just observing yourself, and the power of imagination there, that that is would seem to be a little bit out of touch with the direct feelings, and yet trying to connect with that dramatic life that you have, your feelings, is extending that sociopathy in a way that has some concern for your life and your experience of it. Meanwhile, enjoying everything, no matter how terrible. So that's kind of a funny concept, but that's the higher self in you, basically your brain. That is that capacity. And so it's kind of like a little bit of sociopathy going on if you have to do surgery on somebody that you care about, right? But at the same time, you can't be feeling what they're feeling or identifying too much with someone that you're having to cut on. So it's a very helpful thing. That's why I call positive sociology. But that relationship is amazing, very humbling. And it seems that although you can explain all of these things rationally, including out-of-body experiences, there's someone in the field of brain study found out that they could suppress a region of the brain that locates you in space. Right? Suppress it, pop out of your body, and you're out. You think you're outside of your body, looking around, and then you unsuppress it, pop back in the body. So in, out, no big deal, right? And totally understandable. And but there are psychic seeming things that happen in these experiences that are different. And I'm not convinced that people actually die. They are near-death experiences. Once the brain's gone, I don't think you're going to come again. That's just my opinion. It'd be a miracle. And I don't buy it. But, maybe you do. It's possible. Maybe anything is possible. But, I think pretty unlikely. But anyway, there are psychic things that might indicate a bigger reality and world than what we perceive normally. And I'm glad that scientists are studying that. All of the different things that practices are healing and helpful just on their own. But if you're going to approach as someone as a trainer or a therapist, you're initially taking the role of that positive psychopathy. You are taking the role of the creative artist. And so you hear what the person has to say and so on. You create experiences for them. And you also, by the counselor, help them understand the process and help them be compassionate. But you start with that more distance approach, after which that person might be strong enough that they can do, not be able to do that for themselves right away, but they can do the inner counselor technique. It's the next easiest experience. Well, the other is still a little more difficult for them. So it's just the position you take when you're trying to help somebody, in my opinion. Usually that's it. People have different, gateways, things, they're different levels of damaged faith and so on. And so, they might begin at this point or that point, whatever. But the whole thing is designed so that you're trying to comfort yourself. Self-comfort techniques, what we're talking about here. And it breaks down at the same time the symbolic defenses, and it also increases the empathies, the virtues, and so on. The aim of IMC is not, it's not really the medical model, although it could be seen that way. It's a spiritual practice, because it's aimed at your virtues and at self-transcendence. But those are rational things. Those are not irrational things. You don't have to lose your mind practice IMC. And it's otherwise belief neutral. You can have any belief you want to and do IMC as a religion on its own. Basically, a religion that's about not about any belief. It's about love and understanding it and using it to heal yourself and other people and our world. So, as I like to say at the end of these appeals, I like to say namaste. But namaste is a beautiful word. It's a greeting in India. You can look it up and see points of view of what it means. But seeing through the lens of IMC, it is the flow of love. And that potential of the flow of love that exists in you and the person that's using the greeting. That's an honoring of one person, knowing that they have this flow and this transcendence, and knowing it's also in the other person. So, their greeting usually involves putting hands together. So, namaste. And y'all have a nice day. Merry Christmas.